How to stop caring what people think, honestly. Most people who say they don't care what people think are lying. And the people who actually don't care what people think are usually the ones you probably shouldn't be taking life advice from anyway. The guy at the gym making weird noises on every rep, the person in the group chat who sends voice notes that are 4 minutes long, your uncle at Thanksgiving. So the goal isn't to become that. The goal is something more specific. And most advice on this topic completely misses what that specific thing actually is. If you Google how to stop caring what people think, here's what you get. Remember that most people are too focused on themselves to notice you. Practice self-compassion. Journal about your insecurities. Visualize your best self. Do something scary every day, like make eye contact with a stranger or order at a restaurant without looking at the menu first. This advice isn't wrong exactly. It's just that the people who need it most are the ones who will read it, nod, feel temporarily better, and then get to the next social situation and freeze up exactly the same way they always did, because none of it addresses the actual mechanism. Here's what's really going on. Your brain has one job: keep you alive. And for most of human history, being rejected by the group meant you were actually going to die. No tribe, no food, no protection. So your brain evolved to treat social rejection like a physical threat. It fires the same alarm, same stress response, same cortisol spike, same tunnel vision. This is why telling yourself it doesn't matter what they think doesn't work. You're using logic to argue with an alarm system that doesn't speak logic. It speaks pattern recognition and repetition. So the question isn't how do I think my way out of caring? The question is how do I retrain the alarm? And there are actually a few ways to do this that work. Not immediately, not in one weekend, but they work. The first one is understanding the spotlight effect. There's a study where they made college students wear a t-shirt with a slightly embarrassing image on it and then walk into a room full of people. The students predicted that about half the people in the room would notice and remember the shirt. The actual number was closer to 25%, and even the people who did notice mostly forgot about it within a few minutes. Your brain treats every social moment like there's a camera pointed at you, like everyone in the room is watching, cataloging, and will later review the footage. They're not. They're busy running their own internal monologue about what people think of them. This doesn't make the feeling go away, but it does give you something useful, a reality check you can actually run in the moment. Not nobody cares, which feels like a lie, but the number of people actually paying that much attention to me right now is probably half of what I think. That's believable. And believable beats inspirational every time. The second thing is separating useful social feedback from noise. Not all caring what people think is bad. Some of it is how you calibrate yourself. If you give a presentation and everyone looks confused, that's useful data. If you say something rude and people seem hurt, that's useful data. Your brain is right to flag it. The problem is your brain doesn't filter. It treats the confused look from a stranger on the street the same way it treats genuine feedback from someone whose opinion should actually matter to you. So you need to build a filter manually since your brain won't do it automatically. Here's a simple one, 3 questions. Does this person know me well enough for their opinion to be accurate? Does this person have experience or results in the area they're judging me on? And would I trade places with this person's life? If the answer to all 3 is no, their opinion is noise. Not bad. Not worth getting angry about, just noise, like a car alarm going off down the street. Your brain might still hear it, but you don't have to act on it. This sounds obvious when you read it. It stops being obvious at 2 a.m. when you're replaying a conversation from 6 hours ago and wondering if you came across weird. That's when you actually need to run the filter. Write it down if you have to. Does this person know me? Do they have relevant experience? Would I trade places with them? Usually the answer is no, no, and absolutely not. The third thing is exposure. And this is the one people skip because it sounds uncomfortable. Your brain learns that something is safe by surviving contact with it, not by thinking about surviving contact with it, not by reading about other people surviving contact with it, by actually doing the thing that activates the alarm and watching nothing bad happen. Which means you have to go put yourself in the situations that trigger the fear, not in a dramatic way, not in one big leap way, just slightly outside the edge of your current comfort zone on a regular basis. For most people, this looks like something small. Speaking up once in a group conversation when you would normally stay quiet, asking a question in class or at work when you'd normally pretend you understood, wearing something slightly different, going somewhere alone, disagreeing with someone out loud instead of just in your head. Every time you do this and survive,
which you will, your brain updates its threat model slightly. 1 data point isn't enough. 10 isn't enough, but 50 starts to actually move the needle. The alarm starts firing a little quieter. The recovery time gets shorter. This is also why people who have jobs that require constant social exposure, salespeople, performers, teachers, generally seem to care less about what people think. It's not that they're built differently. They've just run the experiment thousands of times, and their brain has updated accordingly. The fourth thing is knowing what you actually want instead. Most people who care too much about what others think don't have a clear enough picture of what they want for themselves, so the only available feedback system is external. Other people's reactions become the default measure of whether things are going well. This is completely backwards, but it makes sense when you think about it. If you don't know where you're trying to go, you'll navigate by looking at other people's faces to see if you're going the right direction. So the fix isn't just to care less about their opinions, it's to build a stronger internal compass so you have something else to navigate by. This means getting specific about what you want. Not vague stuff like, I want to be successful, or I want people to respect me. Specific stuff. What does a good week look like for you? What kind of work do you actually want to do? What kind of person do you want to be in the specific situations where you usually freeze up? When you have answers to those questions, other people's opinions don't disappear, but they become less load-bearing. You already have a reference point. So when someone judges you or you imagine someone judging you, you have somewhere else to look. The fifth thing is the one nobody wants to hear. Some of the people whose opinions you're worried about don't actually like you that much, and you kind of already know this. The reason your opinion weighs so heavily isn't because you respect them, it's because you're hoping to change their mind. You're hoping that if you just say the right thing or do the right thing or present yourself slightly differently, they'll finally think you're okay. That's not caring what people think, that's seeking approval from people who aren't giving it, and that's a different problem with a different solution. The solution isn't to stop wanting to be liked. That's another thing that sounds good and doesn't work. The solution is to notice when you're running that pattern with a specific person and ask yourself whether their approval is actually available. The last thing, and this is the most important one, you will not fully stop caring what people think. That's not the goal. The goal is to shrink the number of people whose opinions you're running calculations on all day. Right now, if your brain is healthy, it should be actively tracking maybe 5 to 10 people whose opinions genuinely matter. Close friends, people you respect, people who know you. Outside that circle, other people's opinions should be low signal, not zero, but low. That's the whole thing. Understand the mechanism, run a reality check on the spotlight effect, filter useful feedback from noise, expose yourself to the situations that trigger the alarm until the alarm gets quieter. Build a clear enough internal compass that you're not fully dependent on external ones. Notice when you're seeking approval from people who aren't offering it, and narrow the circle. And if that helped, I'm collecting donations in the form of subscribes to fund the next video.